Okay, as most of you know, I did my project on standardized testing in relation to the arts, and kind of looking at how to improve the arts in this given situation. So I'm going to start off my presentation with a quote. This is by a Chinese proverb, and it says, "A bird does not sing to answer questions. A bird sings because it has a song." In that sense, every student and every child has a song to sing, and sometimes it may be through the arts. And this is an example of kids in their free time. But like a bird, will a child sing to answer questions like these? Well, of course not. But where does a child get educated in arts, learning how to sing? Well, they go to schools. And this is where I started my project, was in my own school district back home in Monument, Colorado. It's called District 38, and I'll refer to it as D38. Now, coming into this project, I had a hypothesis that standardized testing under No Child Left Behind negatively impacted the arts. However, talking to superintendents, past and present, I found that my hypothesis was proven wrong. Why was this? Why was District 38 able to keep the arts in the face of No Child Left Behind? Well, my conclusion was it's because it was built for No Child Left Behind. Interestingly, are all schools built for No Child Left Behind? Well, of course not. And as we can see from this survey done in 2008, after No Child Left Behind, that 48% of schools increased time for reading, 45% of schools increased time for math, 100% of schools decreased time for the arts by 16%. Quite disheartening, wouldn't you say? So this brings me to my argument. How to get to this argument, I will show the different steps. Well, let's start with the first one. No Child Left Behind. Well, No Child Left Behind was passed in 2002 by the Bush administration. This was based on the Texas testing standards. But before that, there was another act called Goals 2000. And what Goals 2000 did was very interesting. They defined 8 core subjects all students must learn to succeed in life. What were these? They were geography and history, math, foreign language, economics, civics, arts, language arts, and science. However, No Child Left Behind only addressed 3 of these: math, science, and reading. Now, my research is looking at one of those 5 forgotten subjects, arts. And what arts can do, besides what the other 7 cannot do, is very interesting. Some of these I found to be promoting production with students, developing kinetic skills, supplying another way of communication, and utilizing creativity and problem-solving skills. But back to No Child Left Behind, and the 3 subjects presented there. We see that the goal of No Child Left Behind is to have a majority of students above proficient in math, science, and reading by 2014. With that date encroaching, I found this very particularly interesting. Well, the methods of No Child Left Behind are 3 things. They want national and state standards in the 3 subjects. They also want the least costly way of measuring those subjects within schools. And they also want a curriculum that is applicable to every school. However, there's 50 states in the nation, and each of them have their own standards and assessments. So with 50 different standards and assessments, how can we get to the same place by 2014? However, interestingly enough, nationally, there is adequate yearly progress that requires disadvantaged students to be at the same level by 2014. But these disadvantages include race, social and economic class, gender, English proficiency, and physical and mental disabilities. So, what I've covered in No Child Left Behind will give me to an argument in relation to the arts. No Child Left Behind does have some positives, but also some negatives when it comes to the arts. The positive was it donated $3 million to art programs, such as the Kennedy Center for Performing Arts in Washington, D.C. It also supplied a number of grants. However, it's separate, but not necessarily equal, because it's not within the school, and it's always optional to go to those resources. So, I also found in my research that it's hard to find how No Child Left Behind negatively impacted the arts. So looking at this graph, we see in purple is before the act was passed, and that 5 states in general tested for the arts. And afterwards, only 1 state, even a county, tested for the arts. This is a big change. And surprisingly, I found another type of evidence with graphs. So starting with this quote, there's some schools who meet the standards and are able to have the arts, where some cannot. So in places where they have high standards that are hard to meet, such as a classroom having low socioeconomic class and also students of color, it's hard to reach those standards. So I also found that the arts haven't changed compared from the faded to the solid from before and after the act when it came to the arts. It's because the quantity of arts in schools who are able to meet the standards are overcompensating, furthermore creating a gap when it comes to arts education throughout the nation. And with District 38, I found in 2008, these were their test scores, well on the way to 95% by 2014. It's a good sign for them and are able to keep the arts. But the arts in general, in other schools, what has it done to stay around? Well, we see there's 3 different paths that arts have taken. One is incorporating it into curriculum. Another is having it as a bribe or reward after finishing certain subjects. And then eliminating it from the curriculum completely and having it as a side. So, District 38 has chosen to have it as a reward or a bribe based on the way they have minimum requirements for the arts. Now, high test scores allow for grants. But this is very formulaic. What about kids who want to go to art universities? What if kids want to go into higher education? Well, No Child Left Behind is supposed to guarantee that. Provide kids with the skills, not having arts as a side. So this is what I'm proposing as a change. So, as we've seen from all this testing and what No Child wants from No Child Left Behind, we can see that in the white it's showing that states are testing for these certain subjects. In the gray we see that they are testing for accountability. Testing for accountability is looking at the quality of teachers and the quality of curriculum in that classroom and improving it based on the scores. So, what makes the arts accountable? Talking to a former arts educator and education reformist, I found that there's 3 things he specifically defines. For good arts education, he says that there needs to be resources, there also needs to be teachers practicing in the respective art field. In addition, having local support for the arts. District 38, however, is lacking. Lacking in what respects? It's lacking in the 3 that I've shown up there and a few others. So these 4 things I found that it was lacking in was the curriculum, the funding, in addition, the assessments according to the arts, besides AP classes, which are afforded because of high test scores, and it's also lacking in teachers because these teachers are now becoming part-time teachers due to funding cuts. It's all a vicious cycle. So, what can guarantee accountability? What I want to guarantee an accountability for the arts nowadays is 7 things. I want accountability for the arts in the amount of time devoted to that subject. Also, the amount of resources are highly important in that foundation. Next, a developed curriculum to expand and account for. Then, having funding able to expand instead of being separate as with art programs, but being more towards the schools. In addition, I want assessments. Assessments looking at the quality of the kids' art projects and products. In addition, having teachers, being full-time teachers, and having a higher quality. And having the locals needing support. So where does this start? It starts in the arts classroom. Quality improves with more time, resources, and support for the students to produce. The formula of a bribe can only get so far. Direct funding affords accountability in assessing children's products of the arts. Having skills needed in the beginning with good teachers and curriculum produces skills needed for the future to get into higher education. So making all of these accountable makes, including the arts, ensures that all student songs are accounted for. Thank you.
Thank you, Noel.